In 1941, a Swiss engineer named Georges de Mestral walked his dog through an alpine meadow and came home covered in burrs. Most people pull them off and forget. He put one under a microscope, and what he saw obsessed him for the next 8 years. The result is on your shoes, your kid's lunchbox, the cuff of every astronaut, the helmet of every soldier, the wristband of every patient. But the name on it has almost nothing to do with sticking. It's two French words crammed together. We're about to find out which two, and how one bad walk made him a millionaire. Here on The Reason Why. Look at the next person you see in a hospital. There is Velcro on their wristband. Look at a kid's shoe. Velcro. A blood pressure cuff. A weighted blanket. The strap on a tactical vest. The pocket of every astronaut who has ever left Earth. We make about 300 million pounds of Velcro every year. In cars, on luggage, inside operating rooms, on bulletproof vests, sewn into every soldier's uniform. Walk through any school at 3 in the afternoon, and the soft, ripping sound you keep hearing is Velcro coming undone every few seconds. Almost nobody knows where the word came from. So today, we go back to a Swiss meadow in 1941. Georges de Mestral was 44, a Swiss engineer with patents on toy airplanes. That summer, he was hiking with his Irish pointer near Comogny when both came back covered in cocklebur burrs. He sat at the kitchen table pulling them off and got curious. So he took one to his lab and put it under a microscope. What he saw changed his life. Each spike on the burr, he picked the name right there on the bench. Vel from velour, French for velvet, crow from crochet, French for hook. He slammed them together, Velcro. Naming it was the easy part. Building it took 8 years. He needed thousands of identical microscopic hooks on one side and thousands of identical loops on the other, in fabric, at scale. No loom in the world wove anything like that. He hired weavers in Lyon. He blew through his savings, twice. The first prototypes were cotton. They wore out in days. Nylon worked, but only when heated under infrared light, a trick a French textile mill stumbled into by accident. He filed his patent in 1955. The press treated it like a joke. The Velcro Company opened a factory in Manchester, New Hampshire, and waited for the orders to come in. Almost nothing did. Here's what was supposed to happen. Velcro was the best mechanical fastener ever invented. It was supposed to replace the zipper, the button, the buckle. Yves Saint Laurent put it on a dress in 1968. Pierre Cardin used it on coats. The fashion press came to see it close and went home and wrote that the sound it made was tacky. A cheap-feeling rip every time you got dressed. Velcro became the texture of toddlers and people in casts. Manhattan stores stopped placing orders. The New Hampshire factory was running at a quarter capacity. De Mestral had spent 27 years on a thing the world called plastic. By 1969, he thought it was over. But that's only half the story. While the fashion world was laughing at it, somebody else was paying very close attention, and that somebody was NASA. The agency was about to put men inside a tin can in zero gravity, and every loose object was a problem. A pen could float into a control panel and short out a flight system. A glove could drift somewhere out of reach. They needed a way to stick anything to anything and unstick it again with one hand while wearing pressurized gloves. Buttons were impossible. Zippers caught on suit fabric. Magnets didn't work on plastic. Then a NASA engineer remembered a Swiss invention nobody was buying. Velcro was about to leave Earth. Velcro was on the Apollo 11 mission. It held food trays, helmet visors, checklists strapped to every astronaut's wrist cuff. Buzz Aldrin used it to mount cameras inside the lunar module. By Apollo 17, NASA was using 14 square feet of Velcro per spacesuit. The fashion press never came back, but every photograph of an astronaut on the moon was a photograph of Velcro. The factory in New Hampshire restarted at full capacity. The Air Force put it on every flight suit. Puma released a tennis shoe with Velcro straps. Pediatric wards switched their infant clothing from snaps to Velcro because nurses could change a diaper one-handed. Ski boots got it. Surfboard leashes got it. Wetsuits got it. Today, there are over 300 companies making hook and loop fasteners. Velcro Companies, yes, that's the official name, still owns about 35% of the global market. Their patent expired 47 years ago, but the name itself is still trademark. They send polite letters to companies who use it as a verb, asking everybody to say hook and loop, or Velcro brand fasteners instead. They even released a song called Don't Say Velcro, Lawyers and Hoodies. Singing to a guitar, nobody listened. The name escaped the company the way Kleenex did, the way Band-Aid did. Right now, the most used noun on every kid's shoe is the property of a Swiss man who walked his dog one summer. George D. Mestral walked his dog through an alpine meadow and came home covered in burrs. Most people pull them off and forget. He took one to a microscope and spent 8 years building a fabric nobody had ever seen, on a loom nobody had ever built, with savings he didn't actually have. The fashion world laughed at it. Manhattan stores stopped placing orders. The press treated him like a man chasing a hobby. Then a NASA engineer remembered the joke product nobody was buying, and Apollo 11 landed on the moon with 14 square feet of Velcro on every spacesuit. The Air Force followed. The hospitals followed. The toddler shoe market followed. Today, every astronaut, every nurse with a blood pressure cuff, every soldier with a tactical vest, every kid with a sneaker too small to lace, every surgeon scrubbing in for a heart procedure is carrying his solution. The name they're carrying is 2 French words. A Swiss engineer slammed together at his lab bench. Vel from velour, crow from crochet. He died in 1990, a wealthy man. The patent long expired. The company still pleading with everyone to say hook and loop instead, and nobody does. The most ubiquitous fastener on Earth carries the fingerprint of one summer afternoon, one walk, one dog, one man who looked at what stuck to his pants and decided not to pull it off. That's one of them. The reasons we never think about hide inside our everyday words. Subscribe so the next one finds you. The man, the burr, the walk.